Tracker 2020.
With Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on this Tuesday morning. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And some strong storms did move through the region last night, and you're mentioning even more possibly today.
Yes, we got another pattern setting up this afternoon, favorable for wind being the primary concern, similar to yesterday. So we'll keep a close eye on the radar today. But to start out, let's take a live look outside in Utica early this morning, where still some lingering drizzle has produced some damp roads. Still with the rain we saw yesterday, there's some minor ponding on low-lying roads. Just a heads up if you're heading out early today. On top of that, a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. The rain is exiting to the east, so we're going to dry up between now and roughly the early afternoon. But our attention now spans out to areas west of Erie in Pennsylvania. That's where our next system is set to arrive, and similar to yesterday, the primary concern, strong wind gusts. You can see here, level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather in our area, similar to yesterday. In fact, I'm thinking almost a nearly carbon copy of yesterday's weather possible today. The only thing is the timing will be a little bit earlier in the evening, right around the evening commute. So a heads up, if you're heading home from work today, you might get stuck in some heavy downpours and some thunderstorms. So keep it close on the radar. Again, next 12 hours, temperatures in the upper 80s, near 90, so still very warm, very humid. And we'll keep a close eye on those storms heading into this evening. Plus, when we'll finally see some dry weather in the long term in that forecast straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And don't forget the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away each morning. While those storms last night knocked out power, knocked down tree limbs, and even knocked over gas pumps over in the valley. Take a look. This is at the cliffs on Mohawk Street in Herkimer. You can see the pumps lying on the ground. The wind also caused wires and branches to come down on a car on 3rd Ave in Herkimer, as power was also out in the area.
This is a weekly test of the Emergency Alert System. This station is testing equipment that can quickly warn you in the event of an
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Good morning and welcome back. As you just saw on the Cavity Tower camera, a bit difficult to see things up in the highest elevation, especially up here on Smith Hill and at Deerfield. The low-lying clouds exiting our region out to the east. However, taking a live look at downtown Utica right now, roads a bit wet, things a little bit damp out, but will dry out gradually over the span of the next few hours. A live look at our traffic tracker early this morning. Roads are back open in some spots that were closed, but there is still a location just to the west of Sherburne heading along to Cincinnatus along the roads over there between Route 80, both ways between New York 26 and North Road. The road is blocked due to a fallen tree. There's no updates on it just yet, but I think that within the span of the next hour or so, cleaning should be completed on these roads that have been seeing trees falling on them. So again, this morning, we're talking about a quiet start, drizzle and clouds and fog giving way to sunshine. But for your evening commute, you could run into some heavier rain, thunder and lightning, and some strong winds. We'll talk about this in a lot more detail coming up in a few minutes. Gary?
Eric, thanks. It's not a topic people like to talk about, the discomfort and urinary.
From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning and welcome back. It was a very busy day of weather yesterday, and as you look ahead to today, we are tracking a somewhat similar setup, with the primary concern being some gusty winds. Let's look at that severe weather risk for today. Again, we're in the yellow, so level 2 out of 5. Nothing extremely out of the ordinary here in central New York in summertime with some of these systems. But again, the main concern as these storms roll through will be straight line winds. So you can see the highest risk right here. Of course, heavier rainfall. We got a good amount of rain in some spots yesterday. and we could see a bit more of that today. Some embedded rotation along the line. Again, we can never rule out tornadoes entirely with these setups, but this is not really favorable for isolated tornadoes, more so straight line winds. So that's a concern for today. Downtown Utica right now, some lingering drizzle, a few clouds exiting to the east, and temperatures starting out at 71 degrees, very humid, and of course that sunrise time getting later and later in the morning. In a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar, you can see these rain showers exiting Hamilton, Fulton, and Montgomery counties out to the east, but to the west is where we're seeing our next system arrive. It's now entering the Pennsylvania border as we speak. It will approach the southwestern tip of New York State before it finally moves into our area later this afternoon. And so, broader picture, we mentioned yesterday, we had that system pass by. It was a MCV, or a mesoscale convective vortex, a broad area of rotating storms. Not a tornado, it's a bit on the larger scale. So we're not talking about isolated wind, more so extended wind. And you can see the system out to the west. It's splitting. Strong winds moving south and strong winds heading to the east. And this is what we'll be seeing later today. And so on our Skycast this morning, lingering patchy fog, a few clouds, and light drizzle give way to sunshine early this afternoon. Temperatures in the upper 80s, humidity high, another hot and humid day. Then, by the mid-afternoon, the system begins to arrive from the west. You can see here, main concern, some strong winds, heavy rain, very similar to what some locations saw yesterday. That exits our region. You get another shot for a few scattered showers and storms tomorrow, but we're not looking at anything in terms of severe weather, at least at this point, and then things will quiet down by the end of the week. As a matter of fact, that quiet stretch continues following Thursday into the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, start of Monday, and so we get a nice stretch of weather with cooler temperatures as well, only in the upper to mid 70s Thursday and Friday. Gary?
Seems nice.
Seems pretty nice.
Eric, thanks. Still ahead on Sunrise, President Biden is
2024.
Now, the news with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this half hour. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
Now, earlier we showed you the damage from last night's storms. Some gas pumps actually fell over. Those are some strong winds, boy.
Yeah, strong winds across the board. A lot of wind damage reported, not only in some locations here, but all across New York State. And the setup today, we're talking, has similar characteristics of some strong winds.
Watch out, huh?
Yeah, so keep a close eye on the radar today. In fact, what you can expect heading out this morning, well, pretty quiet weather actually. Some lingering drizzle, a few clouds, the roads a little bit on the damp side as you head to work early today. And the radar is quieting down with showers exiting to the east and will remain mainly quiet for the rest of the morning into early this afternoon. But we are tracking the arrival of a secondary system later today that will be providing severe weather characteristics very similar to yesterday, with the main concern being straight line winds. You notice most of the region in the yellow, indicating a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather. Similar to yesterday, if you were out and about and you want access to timely weather information, warnings, nearby lightning sent directly to your phone, notifications, you can scan that QR code right there in the bottom of your screen, and we'll take you to the download page. You can download the Storm Tracker 2 app. It will give you notifications of any warnings on the fly as they happen. It's, in fact, in some spots, even the quickest way of getting some of these warnings. So, again, great tool to use there. But besides that, temperatures in the 80s today, near 90 with that feels like temperature. Very hot and humid day. And again, we're keeping a close eye on the radar with some of these storms later on this afternoon. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Boilermaker 2024.
Welcome back, everyone. Before we get to the forecasts, of course, take a look at our photo of the day today. This one, I think, somewhat takes the cake. There are so many great photos of yesterday's storms, but this one right here, with the sunset in the distance, and the title, Calm Before the Storm. You can see, of course, that heavy rain on the right of the screen blocking the rest of the sunset as the storms continue to move through. This was taken in Whitesboro facing Utica, and of course those strong storms moving through. So amazing photo right here. If you would like to submit a photo like this one, a lot of submissions came in, but we're always looking for more. In fact, depending on the timing, I think I might show a bit more of these photos later on in the broadcast. Send the link right there, WKTV.com/weather/pics. Now, with all the wild weather we've seen both last week and yesterday and potentially today, I'm going to do a live or a Facebook Live today at 8 a.m. So if you have any questions, any feedback, any concerns about today, you can tune in. I'll be sure to answer questions on Facebook Live with all of you. And of course, on top of that, talk a bit more about the forecast in detail, especially the potential for storms later today. Gary?
Live with Eric Gage, you can't ask for more than that. That's pretty awesome. Eric, thanks. Well, the family of the Boeing whistle.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning and welcome back, everyone. It was quite the busy day yesterday evening in terms of weather. Today, somewhat similar story, although the rain showers and storms will arrive a little bit earlier on in the day. Let's take a look at what you can expect severe weather risk-wise. Similar level of risk today compared to yesterday. Level 2 out of 5. We're in the yellow pretty much all across central New York. Main concern being straight line winds. Secondary concern being heavier rainfall. And again, embedded tornadoes could be possible along the line, but this is not the main focus. There was a tornado warning yesterday, but ended up turning into some straight line winds. So again, if you're planning anything this evening, roughly between 2 and 5 p.m., just a heads up that you could encounter some very heavy rain and typical thunderstorm risks along with some gusty winds. Downtown Utica right now, a few clouds and damp conditions gradually diminishing as some sunshine peeks in from the west. However, 71 officially in Rome, very humid conditions, dew point upper 60s, and we'll continue to see this high humidity throughout the remainder of today. And so a live look at the radar right now, quiet and dry here locally, patchy drizzle coming to an end. Our attention still turns to this system out in approaching near western New York. It's actually in the tip of Erie in Pennsylvania at this point. And the broader scale picture, that MCV, mesoscale convective vortex, basically a broad area of rotating thunderstorms, has exited our area out to the east. And here comes another one. It's splitting off after it formed somewhat of a derecho down south of Chicago. And so we'll keep a close eye on this system as it pulls east. And so in our skycast this morning, patchy fog, drizzle, and clouds give way to sunshine. That daytime heating and sun will destabilize the atmosphere enough to where a few storms will roll through this afternoon. Again, between roughly 2 and 5 p.m. I think it's trending later, so more so 3 to 6 p.m. But moral of it is going to produce some strong winds, heavier rainfall, thunder and lightning, all the sorts associated with a line of storms like that. It pulls through, and this isn't going to last all too long. In fact, following this, we'll quiet down. A dry start Wednesday. We could see a few scattered storms Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening, but we're not looking at anything in terms of the strength we're going to see today for tomorrow. And so today, Storm Tracker 2 Alert Day. Make sure you're weather aware. Have the alert sent right to your phone by downloading the app right there. And then following that, we got pretty quiet weather. Heading into Thursday and Friday, sunshine, temperatures upper 70s to mid 70s. Warming up a little bit by the weekend, but nothing like the heat and humidity we saw this past weekend and the past few days. Gary?
Eric, thank you. An elderly thrill seeking 2024.
Now, the news with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this Tuesday morning. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And we did see some storms last night, and you can expect more later today, right?
Yes, potential for some stronger storms similar to this view right here.
Wow.
Look at all these great photos submitted to all of you across the area. This one taken in Madison, this one taken in Baldwinsville. Lots of great shots across the area. Although sometimes storms are a little bit on the dangerous side, they do offer some beauty, the silver lining in it too as well. But again, what we can expect today, well, let's take a live look outside in downtown Utica right now. The sun is slowly trying to peek its way out after lingering low-lying clouds are exiting out to the north and east. And a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. Again, we're keeping a close eye not on the rain showers here locally, which are diminishing out in the east, but the storms that could be firing up out in the west. Another system similar to yesterday is going to move its way into our area, although a little bit earlier in the day today compared to yesterday. Same risks, however. Level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather. Main concerns being straight line winds and heavier rain ponding on roadways. Two main risks here in central New York. And so again, we'll keep a close eye on the radar throughout the day today. On top of that too as well, you can also download the Storm Tracker 2 weather app with the code right there in the bottom of the screen. That'll of course send you warning notifications directly to your phone as they happen. So if you want to be marine weather aware today, that's the best way to do it. Of course, we'll keep a close eye on everything, have more details on what you can expect weather-wise throughout the day and for the next few straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And don't forget the Storm Tracker 2 forecast, never more than 10 minutes away each morning. Well, those storms last night knocked out power, knocked down tree limbs, and even knocked over some gas pumps in the valley. Take a look here. This is at the cliffs on Mohawk Street in Herkimer. You can see the pumps lying on the ground there. The wind also caused wires and branches to come down on a car on 3rd Ave in Herkimer as power was out for much of the area. There are also reports of wind damage in Ilion, Cedarville, and West Winfield. Well, the delegates have weighed in.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Good morning. Welcome back, everyone. It's currently 6:11, nearly 6:12, and as you head out the door this morning, you might run into some fog like what you saw right there in the Caveat Tower camera, although those would be isolated primarily in the higher elevations. Let's take a live look over the arterial in downtown Utica. You can actually see a nice sunrise out in the distance facing the east. Zooming in, though, along the arterial early this morning, we can see some of the roadways still a little bit on the damp side. The ponding has diminished for the most part after some heavier downpours yesterday, but the main thing will be what we're expecting later this afternoon. A live look at our traffic tracker. No incidents to report of in the Mohawk Valley. No accidents to report of either. However, there is a road closure near Otselic in Chenango County connecting Route 80 with Route 26 due to a downed tree. At this point, no updates on whether it's open just yet, but for now, just factor in that if you're heading along Route 80 in Otsego or Chenango County heading to Otselic area, that there could be a road closure. But besides that, today, a few clouds, light drizzle this morning, giving way to sunshine, but then that sun will destabilize the atmosphere, and we could see some heavier rain and thunderstorms for evening commute. Well, Gary?
Eric, thanks. Well, it's not a topic most people like to talk about.
From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning. Today is a Storm Tracker 2 alert day for the potential of a few stronger storms rolling through this afternoon, similar to the storms we saw yesterday. In fact, that severe weather risk today, level 2 out of 5, again, similar to yesterday, with the main concerns being strong wind gusts and heavy rainfall. These winds are expected to primarily be straight line winds as a system moves over our region. Now, there could be some embedded rotation along the line, but we're not too concerned about tornado potential as if, again, those straight line winds. So that's what we're expecting later on this afternoon. The timing of that in more detail coming up in just a minute. A live look at Oneonta right now. Plenty of sunshine as the sunrise continues on. And downtown Utica is a slightly different story. A few lingering clouds and patchy drizzle, but there is some sunshine moving in from the west, slowly but surely. Current temperature is 71, very humid across the region, and we'll still see very humid and very hot conditions today. Heat advisories are still in effect for the lowest elevations. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. Quiet and dry here locally. We're keeping a close eye on an approaching system from the west. You can start to see it firing up a few showers and storms passing Erie into the westernmost portion of New York State. And so the bigger picture, we mentioned yesterday a system moving over our region that was officially an MCV, a mesoscale convective vortex, a fancy word of describing a broad area of rotating storms. And that produced, of course, some wind damage all across upstate New York. Now, a similar setup is expected today as this system out to the west is pulling east into our area. And so in our skycast, for now, we've got some sunshine to the south, few lingering clouds in the I-90 corridor and north, but sun will be widespread across the area by late this morning, early this afternoon. This sun will, of course, destabilize the atmosphere enough to where we could see these showers and storms roll through early on, but regardless, that line of storms move through roughly between 4 and 6 p.m. It was a bit earlier in the forecast yesterday, but it has turned a little bit later. You can see here, this is around 5 or so p.m. This could cause issues or tricky travel with your evening commute. Just a heads up for that. You might encounter some strong winds and heavy rain. And so your 7-day forecast following the alert day today, some chances for showers and storms tomorrow, not nearly as strong. And then quiet weather on the horizon. We're looking at cooler temperatures Thursday and Friday. A lower humidity relatively, and plenty of sunshine as that continues into the weekend. Gary?
Eric, thanks. AT&T call and text line.
July 16th, 2024.
Now, the news with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on this Tuesday morning. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And if you heard the thunder and seen some lightning last night, get ready for some more today, possibly.
Yeah, potentially some stronger storms later on this afternoon, and main concern being some strong wind gusts. So we'll take a look at that, of course, in a few moments. But for now, let's take a look at what's going on outside early today. First off, a live view of downtown Utica. Underneath that cloud layer or that fog layer we saw on the tower cam moments ago, visibility is pretty okay in the valley, with clouds slowly diminishing and sunshine moving in from the south and west. And a live look at the radar right now, the rain has tapered off for the most part, patchy drizzle coming to an end. However, our attention turns to the west as another system is set to arrive today, which could tap into that instability in the atmosphere and produce a strong storm or two. Matter of fact, we have a slight risk, a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe storms to develop over our area. Very similar conditions to yesterday. Those of you that saw a storm yesterday, this will be somewhat of a similar type situation with, of course, wind-driven risk being the main concern. Next 12 hours, of course, besides the storm risk, it's going to be another hot and humid day. Heat advisories in effect for the lowest elevations. We'll, of course, talk about the storm risk in more detail coming up in a few minutes. Plus, if this is a sign of a pattern for the rest of the week, details straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Boilermaker 2024 is officially wrapped.
Good morning and welcome back. With the storms we saw yesterday, some of you were able to take amazing photos of them, of course, hopefully on this safely away from the thunder and lightning. But this one was taken in Whitesboro facing Utica, called Calm Before the Storm. And what a shot right here with the sunset in the distance, the heavy, heavy rainfall, thunder and lightning rolling through from the right of the screen. Again, amazing photo right there. There are so many submissions. I wish I could get to them all. But again, a big thank you to all who submitted those photos. We'll show, of course, a few more throughout the week right here on News Channel 2 at sunrise. You can actually submit your own by sending it to the link right there on top of your screen, wktv.com/weather/pics. Now, with the pretty busy weather, not only yesterday, but even last week, there were a lot of questions raised from a lot of you just wondering, why is this a setup we're seeing? Why are there so many tornado warnings? Why is there so much active weather? Well, I'll talk a lot about that on Facebook Live at 8 a.m. today. You can ask me questions. I'll answer any of them pertaining to the weather. If you have any questions regarding why is it so active, what are we expecting today, you can ask that right there. Again, Facebook Live at 8 a.m. Gary?
Eric, thanks. The family of a Boeing whistle.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning and welcome back to Tower Cam. Finally showing some visibility of downtown Utica as the low-lying clouds are starting to exit out to the east and sunshine beginning to move in. Before we get to the weather currently, though, a heads up for this afternoon. You have any afternoon plans, driving anywhere, heading to work? We could see a similar setup today compared to yesterday, with the main concern being storms rolling through, producing some gusty, potentially damaging winds. Straight line winds, I should mention. This is not a tornado, high-risk type event, more so just a line of storms rolling through, lots of wind moving in front of it. Secondary concern, of course, being some heavier rainfall, ponding on roadways, flooding in poor drainage areas. The rain showers won't last too long this afternoon. They'll roll through within the span of an hour or so. But for right now, we've got sunshine finally moving into Utica after a very cloudy morning. Officially 71 in Rome and very humid conditions with dew points in the upper 60s. A live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. We are, of course, seeing quiet conditions now. There was some drizzle earlier on this morning, but will remain relatively dry until, I would say, mid-afternoon. And that's when we're seeing the arrival of another system out in the west that will fire up a few more storms. So yesterday, what was called an MCV, a mesoscale convective vortex, or a broad area of rotating thunderstorms, rolled through. That's what caused the wind damage all across upstate New York and even some spots here locally. Our next system is somewhat of a similar type, broad rotation right here, and on top of that, there's plenty of instability in the atmosphere to have these storms produce, yet again, some very strong wind gusts. So heading straight to our Skycast. For now, you can see here those clouds, stubborn clouds north and east of Utica, slowly diminishing throughout the morning and early afternoon. Sunshine at noontime and temperatures quickly climbing into the upper 80s to near 90 degrees. With all this heat, all this humidity, these storms have plenty of fuel to fire on, and that's when we'll start to see these storms roll through roughly between 4 and 6 p.m. I think that's the best chance of seeing these storms arrive. And it will likely form as a line moving across the area, and then following that, just a few more lingering patchy drizzly showers, but the worst of the threat is over by 8, 9 p.m. And so your 7-day forecast, alert day today, again, heads up, download the Storm Tracker 2 weather app for any alerts regarding any severe thunderstorm warnings. Then tomorrow, a few more storms, but thankfully nothing as strong as today. Then your 7-day forecast, dry weather continues to move in with cooler temperatures by Thursday and Friday. Gary?
Eric, thanks. An elderly thrill seeker is defying.
Now, the news with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on the CW11. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And if you heard the thunder and seen the lightning last night, get ready for some more, but the time a little different today than yesterday.
Yeah, a little earlier in the day, which means that this could impact the evening commute a little bit more compared to, again, yesterday. But the main concerns are still the same. Some strong straight line winds, heavy rain, that sort. Let's take a look at what's going on outside early this morning, because for now things are quieting down after some early morning drizzle and clouds. Sunshine has moved in, and we're expecting sunshine and quiet weather for the majority of this morning and into the early part of this afternoon. But with all that sunshine, that'll add to the instability in the atmosphere, what these thunderstorms use as fuel to strengthen. Now, a live look at the radar right now, of course, it is quiet and dry, but our attention, of course, obviously out to the west, where we're seeing a few more storms begin to fire up. That, of course, will arrive by the mid-afternoon to late afternoon. And with that in mind, again, we do have a slight risk, a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather today, with, again, the primary concern being some strong straight-line winds. So the next 12 hours right now favor temperatures in the upper 80s, heat advisories in effect still, with feels like temperatures are going to be soaring into the 90s with high humidity. But besides the heat, again, we're keeping a close eye on the radar today. We'll, of course, have the latest details, the latest timing and path of those storms straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. The storms last night knocked out power, knocked down tree limbs, and take a look here. This is it. The cliffs on Mohawk Street in Herkimer. You can see the pumps lying on the ground. The winds also caused wires and branches to come down on a car on 3rd Ave in Herkimer as power was out for much of the area. There are also reports of wind damage in Ilion, Cedarville, and West Winfield. Decision 2024 now, and the
This summer, never get caught on the course in bad weather. Get severe weather alerts right to your phone with the WKTV Storm Tracker weather app, the only weather app on your phone powered locally by the WKTV Storm Tracker 2 team. When you're on the go, stay in the know.
The WKTV from Central New York's most dependable weather team. Here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning and welcome back. After a cloudy and somewhat damp start, things are quieting down as sunshine moves in. But before we get to the forecast for the morning, let's talk about the potential risks this afternoon. First off, we have a level 2 out of 5 risk indicated by the area in yellow for severe weather. This is a lot similar to yesterday, with the primary concerns being gusty or potentially damaging winds, and the wind threat mainly straight line winds. There could be some embedded rotation along the line of some showers and storms, but again, the main focus, of course, is the winds and the heavy rain and the typical thunderstorm risk of thunder and lightning. Downtown Utica right now, clouds exiting out to the east and sunshine moving in, and this will be a common sight across all of central New York for most of this morning. 71 in Rome, tropical humidity already. And these storms today will tap into this and tap into all this humidity right here. And along with some wind shear in the atmosphere would favor some storms to develop on the stronger side. So for now on the radar, quiet across the board, but out in the west, just north of Detroit, we're seeing what's called an MCV, a mesoscale convective vortex, or a broad area of rotating storm. It's the same thing that moved through yesterday, and we'll see a somewhat similar one move through today. And with these types of setups, we're looking at the main concern being some strong winds along with some heavy rain showers and thunderstorms rolling through. And so on our sky, or on our radar and satellite, we can see the area right here. It's splitting off. There was pretty much a derecho moving through parts of Illinois overnight and early this morning, and it's splitting off. The second part of that system is moving into our area. And so in our skycast for now, clouds give way to sunshine. Sunshine gives way to showers and thunderstorms, and a bit heavy at times. Those of you heading out from work today between roughly 4 and 6 p.m., you could run into this. Heavy rain, thunder and lightning, ponding on roadways, reduced visibility with some of these storms. Just a heads up if you're heading out to work today. Then following that, some lingering clouds and drizzle. Then the worst of the threat is already over and done with. No severe weather expected beyond, say, 8, 9 p.m. And so your 7-day forecast, alert day today. A few storms possible tomorrow. Not an alert day, as those storms will be on the weaker side. Then following that, sunshine moving in Thursday and Friday, a little cooler as well with highs in the mid to upper 70s.
news with Gary Liberatore.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Derek Gage.
And we saw some damage last night from those storms. Hopefully we won't see as much tonight, but there is the potential.
Yes, we got some storms out west that are moving into our area, and we're looking, unfortunately, at a similar setup today compared to yesterday. So let's head straight to what we're expecting across the board for central New York. First off, severe thunderstorm watch has now been issued for Lewis, Oneida, Madison, Shenango, and Otsego counties. The Weather Service in Albany, which controls Herkimer, Fulton, Montgomery counties, I think will issue their watch a little bit later. Yesterday, they waited a little bit longer to issue their watches for the afternoon. But again, this system is expected to arrive earlier in the day compared to the storms yesterday. The risk has also increased throughout the morning. We are now at a level 3 out of 5 risk for severe weather, which is typically the highest we see around here. We rarely, in fact, never see a level 4 or 5. So, but again, the main concern here, obviously, are going to be the strong wind gusts from this system. Now, the radar here locally is quiet for now, but turning our attention out to the west. What's called an MCV, a mesoscale convective vortex. This rotating area of storms is going to roll through and tap into all that instability in the atmosphere here in central New York coming up later on this afternoon. And that'll have the chance of firing up these storms, which could produce wind gusts traveling down to the surface. And so downtown Utica right now, sun is shining, adding to that instability, adding to that heat. And of course, humidity is still very high. So the timing of it, well, you can see here, upper 80s to near 90 degrees between roughly 4 and 6 p.m. is when the actual line of rain showers and storms roll through. We'll keep again a close eye on the radar throughout the entire afternoon. I'll be in later on. Joe Reel will be in as well following me. And we'll also keep a close eye heading into tonight. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Those storms last night knocked out power, knocked down some tree limbs, and appeared to have knocked over some pumps, gas pumps in the valley. Take a look at this. This is Cliffs on Mohawk Street in Herkimer. You can see the pumps lying on the ground. Now, wires and branches came down on a car on 3rd Ave in Herkimer as power was also out in the area. There were also reports of wind damage in Ilion, Cedarville, and West Winfield. And we did check with National Grid a short time ago, and they do have minimal scattered power outages throughout our area here and there, but the most are about 37 outages up in Leiden at this hour. And getting back to those gas pumps on the ground at Cliffs in Herkimer, we learned today they were already detached and out of the ground before the storm because Cliffs is undergoing renovation, so the winds did not cause them to be uprooted, so to speak. And also good news because they were not attached to anything at the time, so no gas leaks. And a weather-related cancellation to tell you about for tonight.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good afternoon and welcome back. We are continuing to track the latest in storm developments out in western New York as a system is expected to impact us here locally later on this afternoon and this evening that could produce some stronger wind gusts. A live look at downtown Utica right now. We've got plenty of blue skies. Sunshine, temperatures officially at 82 degrees, tropical humidity. And when we're talking about severe weather potential in meteorology, the one thing you do not like to see is lots of sunshine ahead of thunderstorms. This adds to the instability in the atmosphere. As you can see here, it feels like 86. It will likely feel closer to 90, 92, 95 within the span of the next few hours ahead of these showers and storms. In fact, let's take a look at where the showers and storms are right now. Locally, we've got nothing going on right now. If you have any plans over the next hour or so, for now, these storms look to stay well west of us at this point. But notice it's trending eastward. Lots of lightning over Lake Ontario. And this line right here, the leading edge of this mesoscale convective system, MCV, is going to continue to shift more and more eastward. So how about severe storm potential? Well, elevated risk, level 3 out of 5, enhanced risk for severe storms today. The main driver is, of course, straight line or just wind damage in general. You can see here, 30% risk for severe damage. But besides that, a low risk for hail and an isolated tornado cannot be ruled out. But again, the main focus today I want to emphasize is that we're talking about storms with potential of producing some strong wind gusts. So here's the MCV right here. Rotating broadly outside of Buffalo. It's going to continue to shift eastward into central New York roughly between 4 and 6 p.m. The westernmost portion of our area between roughly 2 and 4 p.m. And so right now you can see here quiet conditions, 2:30, 3 p.m., right on the fringe of central New York. In fact, just outside of Syracuse. Then this continues onward, 5, 6 p.m., here's the line. And this won't last for 5, 6, 7 hours. This will mainly be an hour, maybe 2-hour-long event as it moves through. The winds itself will not last too long either. It'll push through over the span of 15 minutes or so, along with the downdraft in the front, and that will produce the potential for some straight-line wind damage. Following that, you can see here, it quickly leaves the area, and then by 8:39 p.m., severe weather risk is over and done with. So that's the location we're monitoring for today. Again, we'll keep a close eye on it as we head throughout the afternoon. Your 7-day forecast following the active weather today and a few storms tomorrow. Take a look at the rest of this week into the weekend. Sunshine, lower humidity. We're talking about dew points in the 50s by Thursday and Friday. So those of you who are just itching to turn off the AC, itching for a cheaper power bill, I think that Thursday is your best bet to open up those windows and let in all that refreshing air.
And I know all the Italians out there are saying, see. We've got great weather for this weekend, I know.
Great weather this weekend,
yes.
and I think that it will stick around for the next 4 days, maybe into Monday.
Yeah, that Italian fest is going to be great. Eric, thanks. Well, as we told you earlier, we did see some in the valley, but another storm cut a path of destruction overnight in the Midwest. Downed trees cut power to hundreds of thousands of Chicago area residents. Reporter Patrick Fazio has more from Shorewood, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago, where cleanup is well underway.
Storms rolled through overnight, hitting the Chicago area, including the suburb here of Shorewood, Illinois, about 40 miles southwest of downtown Chicago. Take a look at the damage in this neighborhood. This is one of about 4 houses with trees that were blown into their roofs. This one actually had its roof ripped off, and neighbors tell us the 2 people who live inside this house were injured in the storms that rolled through overnight. Neighbors say they heard screaming coming from this house, and it was tough to get to the people who live inside because of all the trees that were blown over. The street was blocked. The ambulance had to take a back road to get into the house and get the people to the hospital. We're not sure of the condition of the 2 people who live here, but we do know that many areas, many suburbs around Shorewood here also experiencing storm damage with power lines knocked over, as well as trees knocked down as well. And throughout the Chicago area, ComEd is reporting about 250,000 of its customers lost electricity overnight from these storms. Reporting in Shorewood, Illinois, Patrick Fazio, NBC News.
Coming up, new information about the suspected. Good afternoon once again, and thank you for joining us. We are leading off this half hour once again with the weather. We saw some storms last night. Last Wednesday was crazy, but get ready for tonight again.
Yes, we have a similar setup with what's called an MCV moving over area, mesoscale convective vortex. Fancy word of saying broad rotating storms, but it's going to cause the potential for some gusty winds, and that's our primary concern today. So again, we do have a severe thunderstorm watch for the area that was issued by the National Weather Service across pretty much all of central New York, aside from Herkimer, full Montgomery counties. I know you guys aren't in the watch just yet, but I think it will be extended. You're not completely free from these storms. It's just that they are managed by a different National Weather Service office out in Albany. They control the Mohawk Valley up until Herkimer County. Binghamton and Buffalo control the areas out to the west. Speaking of the west, a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. We're quiet for now, but again, these storms are starting to form, and these will move into our area within the span of the next, I would say in the mid-afternoon to late afternoon. So a heads up as you're outside today. The sun is shining, the heat is hot. We've got dew points in the 70s, but again, 4 p.m., 6 p.m., things looking a little bit dicey in terms of showers, storms, and again, potential strong wind gusts. So we'll keep a close eye on the radar over the next few hours, and of course, we'll have the latest details coming up in that full forecast. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Authorities in Thailand say the bodies of 6 people.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good afternoon and welcome back. Today is a Storm Tracker 2 alert day. However, we won't be going into alert mode until later on this afternoon. As of now, things are quiet. Downtown Utica, we're seeing plenty of sunshine and temperatures in the 80s. 82 degrees, sunny, tropical humidity, dew points in the 70s. So it feels like 86 will likely reach the 90-degree mark or more by the end of this hour. And a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar with all this sunshine and humidity. This is destabilizing the atmosphere right now, and this will set the stage for potentially a few strong storms later today. And we can see these storms out in western New York. And lots of lightning right here with this one storm over Lake Ontario. But our attention turns to these storms right here as warm air lifts in, and this MCV, mesoscale convective system, continues to shift eastward into our local area. So how about storm risk? Well, level 3 out of 5 risk for strong storms across the area, indicated by the region in brown. Risk for damaging wind, 30% in the area in red. A bit less, though, for hail. In fact, this looks like it just got upgraded within the past few moments or so, now up to 15%. It was at 5% at the top of the hour. And risk for tornadoes still low, non-zero, but the main concern for wind will be from straight line winds. Even though tornadoes sound like a buzzword, straight line winds do the same thing when it comes to wind damage, regardless of whether the winds are rotating, especially with a setup like this. So radar and satellite, you can see here showing this approaching system. It's broadly rotating right here, and as it reaches our area, it'll start to form into a line of storms. And so, roughly 2:30, 3 p.m., our time frame right here, the storms are right outside of Syracuse. Then 3 to 4 p.m., they shift eastward into our local area by roughly 5 p.m., give or take an hour or so. Again, there's still some light variability with this system, but as it continues eastward at 6, 7, 8 p.m., it exits our local area, and then by 8:30, 9 p.m., this is where the risk is gone. We're over and done with it. So it only lasts an hour or so, and then the weather does quiet down very quickly. But following that, we'll still see a chance for a few more storms on Wednesday, especially Wednesday evening. You can see here a few storms developing along the south line right here near Otsego, Chenango County. These storms here have a risk of turning a bit on the strong side, but the main risk will be happening today. Following this, the weather turns a lot nicer as we head into the rest of the work week. How nice? Well, following the alert day today, we're going to be looking at some storms moving in possibly tomorrow, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, lots of sunshine, lower humidity too Thursday and Friday. Temperatures in the 70s, dew points in the 50s and 60s. But again, back to the weather today. Even though some showers and storms were for the latest warning information sent directly to your phone as it happens. The app is right there in the corner of the screen, and we're in a cross shot right there, but you can see the app right there below me, below the Weather Center.
Scan it now.
Scan it with your phone. It will notify you on the fly if you're not nearby a TV. And I feel like, especially in situations like this, it's very important that the information gets out as soon as it does.
And Jill filling in for Bill again. Another busy day for her this afternoon.
Yes, very busy day again. She filled in for very busy last week.
Yeah.
Now busy again this week.
Yeah, and be careful out there today. Eric, thanks. Former President Trump's new running.
You see that red next to the green that indicates some widespread wind. So we are talking about wind speeds potentially over 80 miles per hour. We just had a report in Griffiths of 80-mile-per-hour winds. We've had numerous reports of damage in Rome. As Steve just said, Rome is in a state of emergency, so no travel in Rome right now. That has been issued by the Rome police. We have seen pictures of the roof being gone of St. Mary's Church on West Liberty Street. We've also seen several other damaged photos. So this is why when we say there is a tornado warning, you need to take precaution. So if you live in this tornado area, this tornado warning area, the area in the red box, I will list some towns off again. You need to either go in a basement or the interior part of your house, away from windows. So this does include Norway, as well as Newport, Salisbury, Oppenheim, Ohio, up towards Morehouse. This also is going to include Curtis Corners, Fairfield. This is the area of concern. You know, those deeper reds making its way towards Curtis and Stratford, also towards Dalgeville. This is north of Little Falls, so just north of Little Falls, north of Herkimer, north of Ilion, north of Mohawk. It is pushing to the east at about 30 miles per hour. So I'm going to put a bit of a track on this for you, this line of storms, as it makes its way to the east. So it will be near Salisbury at 4:02, so pretty much right now. Oppenheim at 4:15, Arietta at 4:17, and Canada Lake at 4:22. So again, that tornado warning has been issued for parts of Oneida County, has expired, and now we're focusing on Herkimer County. Now, I don't want to leave out parts of Otsego County. So you have a severe thunderstorm warning in Otsego County. This is until 4:15, so it is impacting areas like Richfield Springs, West Exeter, Hartwick, as you head down towards Gilbertsville. It is pushing to the east, so we are keeping an eye on this storm. I'm checking out more information from the National Weather Service. They are sending photos into the area. Again, looks like there is, I can report this, the Grand Union on Rome. The roof is gone from there. Looks like damage. I don't know what building that is. Let me go back, Steve. What?
Well, that, it's the mural. It's
Yes.
the building they just repainted
looks
the
like it
mural on.
collapsed.
Yeah, it looks like the mural collapsed. We're going to try and get some of this, as you see here, the thunder over our head
Hopefully we don't lose power, folks.
on Smith Hill. Yeah, the Grand Union, that's on Erie Boulevard, all right? It's right along the area in the general vicinity of Engelbert's, go down a little bit there. So it's Erie Boulevard and that plaza down there. But yeah, that is a building collapse, and then right in that same plaza is where the video and picture of the flipped cars is. And again, we're working on that. And Cam, who's directing in back, when you have that video ready to go, let us know. We can bring that up for the folks to see.
So I want to reiterate the tornado warning that has been issued. This includes Dalgeville, Stratford, north of Little Falls, but the Little Falls area, German Flats, you're still getting hit with very gusty winds as well as heavy rain. So even though you're not under that severe thunderstorm, not under that tornado warning, you're still under a severe thunderstorm warning. We have Curtis Corners, Stratford, you're also under that tornado warning. It is continuing to push to the east at about 30 miles per hour. Now, what about the rest of Oneida County? Now, we've had numerous damage reports, but if you live in Camden, as well as Seven Beach, Oneida, looks like the severe threat is over, as well as Stockbridge as you head into Madison County. Also just looking like some light rain right now in Rome. If you do live in the Rome area, they are under a state of emergency.
State of emergency is what their state of emergency is what the Rome police are telling us. And as we get those pictures up, let's take a look at that shot of the church if we can. Again, Cam, this was sent to us by Michael Bates. And it was the roof of the St. Mary's Church on West Liberty Street in Rome. That gives you an indication as to why the city of Rome is under a state of emergency. And as Jill mentioned, the most severe weather has moved out of that area right now. So, but you're still going to want to wait until for a few minutes for the cleanup to begin. And again, when you do go out there and assess the damage, just assume that every wire is live, even if it looks like a cable wire, it looks like a phone wire. It could, maybe it's not sparking. just assume it's live. Better to be safe than sorry. And again, the 911 centers are incredibly busy right now, so if you don't have an emergency, please do not call them with regular concerns. Right now, this is severe weather and dangerous weather. We don't have any reports of injuries at this point, but again, this storm, which may have been an actual tornado, moved itself through Rome about a half an hour ago. So I think a lot of folks are still trying to assess the damage, and so emergency officials out there. And again, these storms are moving to the east, as Jill said. So go ahead, Jill.
So my area of concern right now, you see where those bright pinks and greens are. So that includes Curtis Corners, Salisbury, Dolgeville, heading towards Oppenheim, Stratford. Again, it's crossing into parts of Fulton County, again impacting Fulton and parts of Montgomery County. But that warning right now, it extends into Herkimer County, Hamilton, as well as Fulton counties. Again, this tornado warning is north of Herkimer. It is north of parts of Little Falls. It is north of Mohawk. Again, making its way to the east, so along 29 and 29A, heading towards Caroga and Arietta. But we are still dealing with some very heavy rain, as well as some damaging winds across the region. We are still getting some information into the Weather Center from the National Weather Service, as well as reports again from you. So if you have any storm reports or storm photos, just email them to news@wktv.com. It is not only important for us, but it's also important that we get the information and pass along to the National Weather Service, so then the National Weather Service can head to our region and officially confirm that tornado damage. So again, we do have that tornado warning. It is continuing until 4:45 for areas like Trenton. Your threat is over. Remsen, as well as Rome, Westernville. Even the Utica area, the heaviest rain is now pushing off to the east. That severe thunderstorm warning will expire at 4:15. Verona, things are looking better at this point in time. You'll still see some rain, but the biggest area of concern, you can see that line as I zoom out, is pretty much from Oneonta all the way up to Old Forge. But that red box that you see on the screen is where that tornado warning is. So we do have that tornado warning that continues to impact Salisbury, as well as Dolgeville, Newport, Fairfield, as well as Coldbrook. That leading edge is now crossing into Fulton and Montgomery counties, as well as Hamilton counties. So you're making your way towards Stratford and Caroga, as well as Arietta. But again, if you do not live in that tornado warned area, you're still dealing with severe thunderstorm warnings. So that does include German Flats, as well as Jordanville, down towards Columbia, Richfield Springs. Springfield, you'll be hit with that heavy rain, as well as those gusty winds as well. Cooperstown, Middlefield, Roseboom. These are the areas that will be hit with the heavier rain, as well as very windy conditions. Just want to report once again, we did have an official report from Griffiths of 80-mile-per-hour winds. That is when that radar confirmed tornado moved through the Rome area, and we're still getting some damage reports from that. But again, the tornado warning continues for Herkimer and into parts of Hamilton and Fulton counties. This does include Newport, Salisbury, Stratford, Dolgeville. Zooming in a little bit more, you got Oppenheim, as well as north of Little Falls, Fairfield, Stratford, up towards Arietta. These are the areas of concern as this line of severe thunderstorms continues to move in. If you are up in Old Forge, you're also dealing with a severe thunderstorm. This is until 4:15, so they are also dealing with heavy rain as well as frequent lightning along Route 28, and that extends all the way down towards Ohio, Morehouse, making its way along Route 8. So we do have some photos from Rome. Steve's going to talk about this for a second.
All right, yeah, these were submitted, and this, I believe, is one of the plazas along Erie Boulevard in Rome. About the same time that these pictures were being sent in, there was also reports of a couple motor vehicle accidents along that road, which makes me think that the ponding on the road and the heavy rain made visibility near impossible. Again, you can see some of the damage from there. We've also shown you the visible. Now there's a really good shot. You see, I think that's a road sign that is just ripped right over and bent right over. That's one of those DOT signs that has about 12 different route markers on it. You see the tree split in half right there. Part of this plaza, I believe the Grand Union was there, had its roof severely damaged, if not even ripped off. Again, these are pictures that are being submitted to us by viewers out there. We also have a video that just came in, which we're trying. There you see the debris laying in the middle of the road. I mean, you know, this is why Jill said why we need to take every weather warning seriously, because that is some severe damage. That's a hard one to make out there, other than a tree branch on which looks like either Erie Boulevard or the street that runs Dominic Street that runs parallel to Erie Boulevard. Cam, let's call the picture of the church up again if we can. This was one of the first images that was sent to us. This is St. Mary's Church on West Thomas Street in Rome. Obviously, you can see just hard to describe the damage there. Picture certainly worth 1,000 words there, and you know, not much more to be said. You can see that the steeple, the top of the steeple, was ripped right off. You see the portion of the sanctuary roof also gone, and that, I think, as we get out there, we're having a crew en route to Rome. We want to have them stay as safe as possible, so they were let. Again, we're about 12 to 15 miles east of Rome, so that storm that went through Rome was coming through our area just a couple minutes ago. We've got a crew en route there, and we will we'll do some live reports for you there, if not before the Live at 5 News Hour, certainly during the Live at 5 News Hour, and get an update on these storms that have now moved into parts of Herkimer County. For that, I'll go back to Jill.
So looking at this photo, sorry, Cam. Looking at this photo that we just talked about, so when we talk about a debris signature, so you can tell that there's been some damage to that roof. The material from that roof goes into the air, and that is detected by the radar. So that's how we get that debris signature that confirms a radar-indicated tornado. So pictures like this are very helpful. I'm going to put money on it that the National Weather Service is coming to Rome within the next day or two to assess the damage and then give a rating for what this tornado is. Again, we do appreciate the photos, news at WKTV.com. Then we can send that information to the National Weather Service. My brother, who works at Griffith Park, just sent me 2 photos. The B-52 at Griffith Park, because of the winds, actually moved off its pads. So I have pictures of that as well. As I reported earlier, there were reports of 80-mile-per-hour winds at Griffith Park when the severe thunderstorm moved through. So we do still have that tornado warning. It looks like it's now beginning to exit Herkimer County, but will be impacting parts of Fulton and Hamilton County. But we're also seeing that severe thunderstorm now making its way into Cooperstown as well as Milford. Otsego, Sydney, we're seeing some very heavy rain right now. I wonder if that is actually hail. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, it looks like we're seeing some large size hail down in Sydney in Otsego County. So if you live in southern Otsego County, you want to take shelter at this point in time. That severe thunderstorm is making its way through Sydney as well as Franklin, making its way up towards Oneonta, Milford, Cooperstown, and heading to the east. So Worcester, you're going to be dealing with that severe thunderstorm, as well as Roseboom, and that is going to continue to push to the east. So I'm going to see what the National Weather Service decides to do with this tornado warning. The bulk of that storm has now moved out of Herkimer County, but still parts of Herkimer County are dealing with heavy rain as well as gusty winds, including Little Falls along Route 5 heading towards St. Johnsville. We're also seeing some heavy rain in Jordanville, making its way towards St. Johnsville along I-90 as well as Route 5 and Route 5S, and pushing towards, again, Fulton and Montgomery counties. So if you live in Fulton and Montgomery counties, you're going to be dealing with this line of storms as it continues to make its way through the area. As we go throughout, again, the next couple of minutes, we'll continue to assess this situation and see if the National Weather Service puts an end to this tornado warning for Herkimer County. But we are still dealing with very strong winds, heavy rain as you head towards Little Falls, German Flats. If you can, stay home. We've had numerous reports of accidents because of ponding on the roadways, a lot of standing water on roadways because of this heavy rain that could lead to flash flooding. So if possible, stay where you are for the next half hour or so as this line of storm moves through. Because you look to the west, yes, there still is some rain, but nothing compared to what we've been dealing with over the last 2 hours. So we still have that tornado warning that has been issued. Again, now looks like it's pretty much impacting Hamilton and Fulton counties. So we're going to continue to see if the National Weather Service in Albany decides what to do with this tornado warning. And then this just in, Lowville as well as Lyonsdale is under a flash flood warning. This is going to continue until 7:30. So areas like Lowville that has been dealing with very heavy rain for the last week, they saw major flooding last Wednesday. They are now under a flash flood warning because the area just can't handle that much more in the way of some heavy rain. So flash flood warning for Lowville, that is until 7:30 this evening. The National Weather Service also has issued a severe thunderstorm warning that includes Hamilton County. So now we're making our way towards the Adirondacks, including Lake Pleasant and Indian Lake. But still keeping an eye on this tornado warning as it continues to move into parts of Hamilton as well as Fulton counties, and then making its way severe thunderstorm warning that continues for Otsego County. This does include Cherry Valley, Cooperstown, down towards Oneonta, making its way into eastern parts of Otsego County, including Worcester, Milford, so Route 28, probably some ponding on the roadways for there as well. So we're going to continue to track these storms. So if you live in the Utica area, improving conditions. Rome, you're pretty much done with the rain, as well as Oneida, Camden, heading down towards New Hartford. We are dealing with improving conditions in those areas. This line of thunderstorms is going to continue to push to the east, heading towards the Albany area. But we still have that severe thunderstorm warning for Cooperstown, Milford, and Oneonta. That is until 5 p.m. But if you live in areas like Edmiston and Morris, the severe threat is pretty much over in those locations. We are still dealing with that heavy rain as well in Little Falls, heading towards Stark and St. Johnsville, Ephrata, also dealing with that heavy rain. And then that tornado warning that continues to make its way into Hamilton as well as Fulton counties, and that is until 4:45. So we're going to put, let's take a look at that velocity scan.
And while you're doing that, we also got some pictures sent in to us from Ilion. Apparently some damage at the former Dufold factory. That's down right near Route 5S. 5S and Central Ave down there. We're going to get that popped up for you soon, and we'll have you send your brother's pictures of the B-52 and send those back to the control room as well, and we'll get those up for you. And basically, we're going to stay on the air here for a while. As you can tell, some severe damage in the city of Rome. If you're just joining us, meteorologist Jill Reel is here, tracking a tornado warning, which is set to expire at 4:45, but this round of storms has already caused some significant damage throughout the region, most certainly in the city of Rome. If you're just joining us again, Cam, if you can bring up some of those pictures from Rome. Let's start with the church, and then we'll cycle through some of those just to give you an indication of the power of this of these storms that went through. This is from Michael Bates. It was sent to us, and that is St. Mary's Church in Rome, located on West Liberty Street. As you can see, the steeple pretty much cut in half, and then part of the sanctuary roof also ripped right off, and that we got back into us probably about a half hour, 45 minutes ago. So right after the storm. These are shots that are going to be cycling through that you'll see from the Erie Boulevard area in the city of Rome. Again, just some severe damage out there, as you can imagine. Numerous power outages. The cleanup will begin shortly. really can't stress enough, National Grid and NYSEG, there are folks telling us for folks to please be patient with power outages and just assume that every downed wire is a live wire. We cannot stress that enough. Too many reports of folks thinking it's a cable wire and I'll just go clear the trees out of my backyard, and it turns out to be an electrical wire, which of course is incredibly dangerous. So if you have any emergencies, true emergencies, want to let you know that the 911 centers are all staffed and working feverishly, but they are getting flooded with calls. So if you do not have an emergency, do not clog up those lines. Do not clog up those lines with those non-emergency calls. So I'm going to turn it over to Jill again. The tornado warning that we're currently underneath for this, for our viewing area, expires at 4:45.
That's right. And again, your phone may have gone off for that tornado warning if you live in Herkimer or Mohawk or Ilion or Frankfort. That does not include you. It is north of I-90, north of Route 5 and 5S, and now is looking to exit parts of Herkimer County. So our focus is now shifting into Fulton as well as Hamilton counties. Now, as Steve said, it's not raining in Rome right now. That doesn't mean you go out and venture, because there are live wires on the ground. There is debris from that radar confirmed tornado that moved through. So you want to take precaution. Again, a lot of roadways still have ponding on it. There also could be debris in the roads, so you want to give yourself some extra time if you have to go out, but I highly recommend staying home for the next hour or so as this line moves through. So we still have that tornado warning. Again, the biggest concern is now into Fulton as well as Hamilton counties, but we're still seeing some heavy rain. I think we are going to continue to track this as it pushes to the east, but we also have that line of severe thunderstorms that's now exiting Cooperstown, heading towards Worcester, as well as Middlefield and Roseboom. So if you live in those locations, as it continues to push to the east at 35 miles per hour. But if you live in Shenango County and Madison County, you're still going to be dealing with some rain, but looks like that severe threat has come to an end. But we are still continuing to track. Now, they extended that tornado warning now into parts of Montgomery, Fulton, heading into Saratoga and Warren County. So now we're getting into the Albany area. So it is exiting parts of Herkimer County, now moving into Hamilton, Fulton, and Montgomery counties. So Kristen just sent this in to me. They're doing a lot of work behind the scenes, which I truly appreciate. 31,000 people are without power in Oneida County. In Rome, that includes 11,000. Ansville is 1,000. Camden, 1,000. Camden, 1,200. And Floyd, about 1,200 as well. So there are about 31,000 homes without power in Oneida County.
Now, we mentioned Oneida County, and we mentioned Oneida County. We mentioned Rome. Obviously, we got some pictures sent to us from the mayor of Ilion regarding the Dufold plant. So obviously, some severe winds made their way through there. We'll catch that in a minute. But the picture you were mentioning that your brother sent in, we do have that now from the B-52 at Griffiths, that appears the plane slipped off of its, those winds were strong enough to slip off of some of its pedestal there. And you had said that Griffiths had a official measurement of at least 80 miles an hour. At least,
and that's the only measurement we've gotten so far. And you got to remember, this isn't a replica plane. This is an actual
B-52.
B-52. So the winds were strong enough to push it off its pad, which is something you don't see here in central New York. One other thing I want to point out, Lowville. So Lowville is under a flash flood warning again. It just can't handle the rain anymore. So unfortunately, in the Lowville area, you want to take proper precautions from the flash flooding from last week. You got more rain today. So there is a flash flood warning for Lowville until 7:30. Now, I do believe that even though Herkimer County is still under that tornado warning, the threat has now moved into Hamilton as well as Fulton counties, pretty much in central Hamilton and Fulton counties. And now that line of severe thunderstorms is making its way through pretty much the eastern parts of Otsego County. So now just exiting Cooperstown and Milford, and now making its way east as you head towards Cobleskill. Again, this is going to continue for the next several minutes, pushing into, again, out of our viewing area, and then making its way into eastern parts of the viewing area and then towards Albany. So again, we're just assessing the situation.
Yeah, all I was going to say, we are also getting a lot of phone calls into the newsroom about various cancellations. We want to keep the screen free for, obviously, for radar and track of the storm and whatnot. Pretty safe bet that if you had an event planned, especially outside tonight, it's not going to happen, and we'd recommend you not have it anyway. As Jill just mentioned, there, in Oneida County alone, there's at least over 31,000 homes without power in Oneida County. But Oneida County was not alone. I think we've got that picture of the Dufold plant, the vacant Dufold plant in Ilion. We had pictures sent in from the mayor there. That's got obviously some significant wind damage there. Don't want to speculate that it's a tornado. We won't be able to confirm that until the National Weather Service comes up tomorrow, most likely, and starts taking a look at that. But pictures like this will help because they'll make an initial assessment, and then they'll scatter their teams around to make an official assessment, and that's when they'll determine the strength of it. Is it an EF0, EF1, whatever. Again, you don't need a tornado to do significant damage, and that's that's one of the points that we've been trying to make, which is why folks say, well, we get thunderstorms all the time. Why do you break into programming for a severe thunderstorm warning? Well, here's why. You see the damage. It is our job to keep you safe and to break into programming for situations just like this. We're going to keep you updated on that, but I'm going to go back to Jill right now. Again, that tornado warning is still in effect for parts of our viewing area.
Yeah, and just that picture just shows you. So Ilion was not under that tornado warning. It was north of Ilion, but Ilion was under severe thunderstorm warning. So it doesn't take a tornado warning to cause this type of damage. So whenever you get a warning across your phone, you want to take the proper precautions, head indoors, stay away from windows when you get into the interior part of your room, because thunderstorm winds are just as dangerous as tornadic winds, especially with the setup we've been dealing with today. I know a lot of people have been asking, why have we had so much severe weather over the past couple of weeks? Well, we've had such high humidity and very warm temperatures, pretty much hot temperatures, which is not normal for central New York. That, with a combination of a cold front, which is what we're dealing with today, created all that fuel and energy in the air. Last week, we were dealing with a tropical system, so we had a lot of wind shear with the remnants of Tropical Storm Beryl. That is why we had the severe weather last week. But today, again, if we go back to that radar, we do have that tornado warning until 4:45. I do believe the threat is done for Herkimer County, but if you live in Hamilton, Fulton, Montgomery, and eastern parts of Otsego County, this line is going to continue to push to the east. So it is out of the Cooperstown area, now impacting Cherry Valley as you head into Herkimer, Otsego County. Again, Worcester also dealing with that, is now beginning to cross over into Delaware County. So this line is pretty much moving out of our viewing area. So we do have that tornado warning again for Herkimer County until 4:45, but the bulk of that is moving out of the area. As we go throughout, again, the next half hour or so, the weather conditions are going to improve, but be careful if you head outdoors. There could be some live wires as well as downed trees and flooded roadways. We saw a lot of rain in a very short period of time. Again, the severe thunderstorm and that line of severe weather is going to continue to push to the east as we head throughout the next half hour or so. So do expect improving conditions across central New York. Again, just in Oneida County, there are 31,000 people without power. A majority of that is in the Rome area. Rome area, as of right now, has significant damage to perhaps a radar-confirmed tornado. We were tracking this tornado warning. The National Weather Service confirmed it right when it was over the Rome area and continued to push to the east. We do have employees there right now surveying the field. We'll have, of course, the latest information coming up at the Live at 5 News Hour. But I just want to do one more recap before we head off the air, as this tornado warning is going to move out of our viewing area and is now making its way into Hamilton, Fulton, and Montgomery counties. It's just exiting as well at Otsego County, so it's moved to the east of Cooperstown and Milford, making its way towards Delaware. So as I zoom out, again, weather conditions are going to greatly improve over the next hour or so. That severe weather is going to continue to push to the east. But again, be cautious if you're heading outdoors. A lot of down power lines as well as trees. So we are going to have the latest information coming up at 5. We're
going to stay on just a couple more minutes now, because just so how the things work and that we're not immune to everything up here, right? And when Jill first started to break in, we were on Facebook Live and we were streaming as well. And we lost power up here, which means we had to reset all of our systems. So for those of you that are joining us on the stream, and perhaps you're watching us on your phones because you are among the 31,000 plus that don't have power, a severe line of storms moved its way through the area. Probably about 3:30, I would say, give or take, was when the heaviest stuff came through, and that's when you started hearing reports of trees down, wires down in North Bay, Sylvan Beach, Oneida Castle, even Blackman's Corners Road in Verona. Jill's going to track it on the radar for you now. And so multitude of warnings, but it really ramped up when there was a tornado warning issued. And it looked like it was in the Rome area, maybe even a little bit closer to Floyd, Holland Patton, along in there. And then, of course, as soon as that moved through, we started getting reports, multiple reports of damage. And we're going to show you some of the pictures of those damage. I don't want, unless, Jill, you want to talk about what this is before we do that?
Yeah, so right at 3:30, so I think we went on air like 3:15-ish. I have to look back. So this is exactly when I knew that we had, or the National Weather Service knew that we had a radar-confirmed tornado. So what you see on our screen is what we call a debris signature. So it indicates, let me go back a little bit. It indicates that there was, let's see, 3:30. Indicates that there was some debris in the air. So the winds were strong enough to take any debris that was on the ground and bring it into the air. That's why you see those different colors. When you see this on radar, that confirms that there's a radar-confirmed tornado. So the National Weather Service issued a confirmed tornado warning, and that's when we talked about areas of Rome getting hit, and that's when we're now starting to see the damage and the pictures from this. So the National Weather Service will most likely travel to the Rome area as we head into the next couple of days, probably tomorrow, to assess the damage. We can see right there. So nothing, and then right there is when you had that debris signature. And then that continued, if we move it, just to the east of Rome. And then this is why they continue to extend that tornado warning into Holland Patton and then back towards East Floyd. But looks like the area with the most significant damage is the Rome area.
Right, and it just wasn't losing much steam as it was going east. It was not losing much steam at all. We're going to go through a series of photos that were sent to us here in the newsroom just to give you an indication of how severe this storm. We're going to start with the St. Mary's Church on West Liberty Street in Rome. Michael Bates was able to send us this picture again. Not much more description needed. That pretty much says it, how powerful these storms were, ripping the roof right off over the sanctuary and literally destroying the top of the steeple. We are on our way out there. We have a crew. Ben Kinney and Tom Guys are on their way to Rome now. We kept them in-house until the storms moved past to try and keep our folks safe. They are on their way now. Ben, on his way in, did make a mention that part of the arterial by Oswego Street, where it sometimes has flooding, drainage issues, was certainly like that. This was sent in to us by Brian Waldron. This is also Erie Boulevard in Rome. We saw pictures of the roof of the Grand Union there ripped off. Also, you saw some of the heavy road signs just right there, twisted, which just shows you the sheer force of the winds that came along. Not sure if we got the picture there with the Grand Union in it. Yeah, I think that's it right there.
Yeah, you can see in the back, in the distance.
In the background, you can see the roof is missing on that building, and that just goes to show you how strong these storms were. And it wasn't just Oneida County. We mentioned 31,000 people in Oneida County as of right now without power, and that number will likely grow as National Grid and NYSEG crews get out and assess the damage. There you see some of the debris strewn all over Erie Boulevard. Again, This is why we break into coverage for severe weather like this. You have to be alert. You have to be, when Jill says be weather aware, this is what we mean, because at 3 o'clock, the areas that you're seeing now, it was hardly even raining, and by 3:30, this is what you got. This is some more pictures. These are the first time we're seeing these. Again, this is all from Rome. So again, the damage just is just eye-popping. And then, Cam, if we can call up the Dufold picture that was sent to us. That's the former Dufold factory in Ilion. That was sent to us by Mayor John Stevens. Again, so you can see how strong. Now, that's a dilapidated building. It hasn't been occupied. But, again, to bring a four-story brick building down shows you how much absolute force was in the pocket of these storms. Again, unbelievable damage and unbelievable statistics what's going on. So, Jill, one final recap of where we are now and what the next, let's say, half hour looks like. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break and get you back to some regular programming. But if events warrant, we will break in, certainly, once again. And then we will have our Live at 5 News Hour, where we will have continuing coverage of this round of storms that certainly did some severe damage throughout the course of the afternoon.
So we still have that tornado warning for Herkimer, parts of Fulton, Hamilton County, but again, that storm has now moved into Fulton as well as Montgomery and Hamilton counties, making its way towards the Albany area. And then that line of storms, the severe storms, have now pushed out of Otsego County. There's still some thunderstorms behind it, but not to the severe level. So the weather is going to greatly improve within the next half hour or so. Still seeing some rain down towards Hamilton. And again, none of this is severe. Our only other area of concern is Lowville. They are under a flash flood warning once again. That is until 7:30 this evening. So if you live in the Lowville area, just be aware that there is some water on the roadways. As well as Steve has been saying, a lot of storm damage across central New York. So if you can, stay inside, stay away from any wires. Those wires could be live. And we're also seeing a lot of debris. So if you can, stay home within the next hour or so, let the road crews begin to do the cleanup and the assessment across the region. Again, the weather is going to improve as we go throughout the evening hours. I will have the latest forecast coming up at 5 p.m.
We're continuing to follow breaking news. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. No unnecessary travel in the city of Rome due to dangerous conditions. That's from Rome police. The extreme weather has destroyed buildings, pulled down wires. 30,000 homes are without power in Oneida County at this hour, and more than 11,000 are located in Rome. Radar activity has indicated a tornado. We want to start off in the Weather Center tonight, where meteorologist Jill Reel and now Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis joining her, tracking this afternoon. What can you tell us about this activity in Rome?
This was a huge event. We confirmed it with debris around 3:30. We know that it was on the ground for several minutes, and we think it was a pretty substantial tornado. We're going to wait for the Weather Service to come to town to figure out how big, but just based on damage.
But the Rome area, that's
yes.
where we're centered
yes.
around, and that is where police are warning people tonight, stay inside, stay off the roads. A lot of the roads are closed at this hour.
Yeah, and again, there's tons of wind damage in that area. And Jill wanted to talk about the rotation that you were spotting here. This was around 3:30.
Yeah, so we cut in a bit before 3:30 because this warning, there was several tornado warnings happening at the same time. There was one tornado warning that was moving through the Camden area, and then we had a second tornado warning that was issued for the Rome area. And what we're looking at this photo is a velocity scan where you see the inbound and outbound winds. So they are beginning to rotate in a counterclockwise formation. So once I saw this, I was like, this is not a good situation as it is moving through the Rome area. Then we looked at what is happening in the atmosphere, and this is called the correlation coefficient. So it is showing that area where you see the greens and the yellows, that indicates that there's something in the air that is not rain. And so the National Weather Service looks at this and indicates that we call this a debris signature. So there is some debris in the air that has been picked up by strong winds, which could potentially be a tornado. So at this point in time, at 3:32 or just after 3:32, that's when the National Weather Service issued a confirmed tornado warning. So we have two different types of tornado warnings. We just have a regular tornado warning where there is that rotation that we see on the radar. But then a confirmed tornado warning is either confirmed by radar, which is what we see right here, or an actual observer observes that tornado on the ground. So at this point in time at 3:32, we had that confirmed tornado, and this is the area where we have been seeing photos of that damage across the region.
Right, so behind the scenes right now, as everyone's compiling the pictures, taking your phone calls, one of the common themes here is they're not able to watch TV because they don't have power. And so I guess what I would tell people who are able to see us, let your friends know in Rome, this is when you're going to want to upload the News Channel 2 app, the Storm Tracker 2 app. You're going to want to stay on social media. You're going to want to catch us on your phone as we stream. This was a very important event where you were live for the better part of an hour, if not more, and just trying to get that information. This is where it becomes a situation where your life may depend on it. You're going to want to get that information, and that was the way to do it.
Yeah, and I can say that, so I had to deal with a family thing earlier this afternoon, and I can say that I was in the middle of it and trying to get back from Canastota, and it was a disaster.
Right.
The power outages have caused the roads to become very congested. There's a lot of debris. It's not just in Rome. Canastota got hit pretty bad. Debris all over the place. Roads that are there are a lot of water on the roads, and it was just very chaotic just to get back here. So if you don't have to travel, let's give the crews some time to just kind of clean things up and get things situated.
Yeah, I mean, that's an order in Rome right now. And you talked about the power lines and the debris. When power lines come down, never touch a downed power line. The power line falls on your vehicle. You're going to want to stay in your vehicle. National Grid was putting out some safety alerts today just to remind people of that. And the pictures coming in. I want to show some of those pictures right now. I'm going to run through them. This is the B-52 on the Griffiths Business and Technology Park. It's off its base right now. And I want to thank everyone who sent us pictures. I'm sorry if I'm not getting names out there right now. Here, take a look. St. Mary's Church on West Liberty Street in Rome. The steeple is gone. The roof is destroyed. Look at the mural across the street from Freedom Plaza on Erie Boulevard. You can see the Rome Capitol Theater in the background. Let's keep those pictures coming as long as you can take the pictures safely. You can upload them to WKTV.com. Right on our homepage, you're going to see a tab that says Submit Your Photos. That's where you can submit pictures, but it's also where you can look at the pictures that people are sending in. We do have News Channel 2's Ben Kinney live for us in Rome tonight. Ben, good evening.
Kristen, good evening. The damage here obviously catastrophic. Many roofs out. The traffic is backed up. So the first thing, if you don't have to be out on the roads, do not be. Emergency crews still trying to get control of the situation. I'm going to step out of the shot over there. This is probably one of the most incredible scenes I've seen on our way up. This was about as far as we could make it. My photographer Tom Geis and I, we actually had to walk from about 3 blocks because of the traffic. But look at the church in the background. Where we are, we're right at Fort Stanwix. We're right in front of the walls. And you can see that church steeple is gone. The roof is gone as well. I'm looking back towards, I believe that's the Elks Lodge. That roof is gone as well. There's another church steeple off to my right, closer to the courthouse. That is gone. There's just extensive damage. Kristen, as you mentioned, that state of emergency is in effect. I spoke with the mayor on my way up about 15 minutes ago. They are setting up a command post that's going to be at Griffiths, where they will be able to relay more information and really organize the recovery efforts here as they continue. We're not told of any injuries yet. I did on my way up, as Rome Fire goes behind us, continuing to respond to calls. That's something that's been constant throughout. I've been here probably 5 or 10 minutes, and it's just been constant sirens. I spoke with somebody as I was walking up. She was in one of the offices on West Liberty. She said the windows blew out, and they had to take cover underneath their desks when this storm blew through. Again, extensive damage. Just to recap, if you don't have to be on the roads, do not be. Don't go out trying to sightsee. Just let the emergency crews do their work. Right now, there's still a lot of wires down. We're told there are some small fires. We haven't seen any. We are told that there are some small ones in the area. We're going to be working our way further into the path of this apparent tornado within the next half hour or so. But again, right now, I don't even have words, Kristen. I mean, I've come to Rome. You know, I play the organ at the Capitol Theater all the time, so I spend a lot of time in Rome. I'm speechless tonight.
All right, Ben Kinney reporting live. We're going to check in with you throughout the broadcast. More pictures, again, to shuffle through. Buildings ripped apart, falling on vehicles, trees have come down. A lot of homes are suffering damages as well as businesses. Just above DeSalvo's, debris on the lamp post and on the power lines. Take a look at this next picture, and then we have another angle for you. Remember, you can share your pictures. This is actually another area. You can see DeSalvo's down the street a bit. I don't know if this is a roof that's peeled off and went flying. Again, as Ben was mentioning, this is not the time to be out sightseeing and seeing the damage, but if you can take pictures safely, upload them to WKTV.com. You'll see the tab right on our homepage that says Submit Your Photos. I do want to keep you updated on some other local news. A man who was shot after a men's
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Latest information into the Weather Center. The severe thunderstorm watch has been dropped for Oneida, Madison, Shenango, and Otsego counties as those severe thunderstorms continue to push off to the east. As we take a live look downtown Utica, a completely different view than what we've been dealing with over the past couple of hours, but you will notice on our Nexus camera and on various locations across central New York, there still is water on the roadways, so you could encounter some ponding on the roadways as well as debris. So if you can, I highly recommend staying home, allowing the local DOT and the power companies to do their work. I know there's numerous live wires down as well as trees, so if you can, I would highly recommend staying home. The big difference as well between now and a couple of hours ago, we're down to 71 degrees officially in downtown Utica. So temperatures have dropped, but still is quite humid across the region, and that humidity is going to stick around for one more day as the cold front moves through the region. So a lot going on our Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar, but you will notice the bulk of the precipitation now impacting the Albany area, heading towards Vermont as well as Massachusetts. But we're still seeing some scattered showers in the Utica-Rome area, but our severe weather threat has come to an end. So again, as we go throughout the evening hours, we will still see some scattered showers, but we're not expecting any severe weather across central New York. But I want to keep an eye on what's happening in Lowville. They are under a flash flood warning until 7:30. This is due to all the heavy rain that they've been dealing with all day long, on top of the rain that they saw last week. So there has been some roadways that have been flooded in Lowville, so there is a flash flood warning for Lowville until 7:30 this evening. Otherwise, we are going to continue to see scattered showers develop across central New York, but nothing of the severe variety. So do expect rain showers on and off throughout this evening into tonight and into tomorrow as well. So on our Skycast, as we go throughout the overnight, it's still going to be muggy. Probably want to keep those air conditioners on if you have power, or open up those windows. Temperatures will be in the 70s throughout the overnight. Now tomorrow is when the cold front moves in, ushering in some cooler air, but also bringing some scattered showers across the region. I do want to point out there is potential for some thunderstorms for tomorrow afternoon, not as severe as what we saw today, but we could see a few pop-up thunderstorms as we go throughout Wednesday afternoon and into Wednesday evening. And then finally by Wednesday night, drier air moves in, and we're going to see a big drop in that humidity as we go throughout Thursday morning, with highs only in the mid to upper 70s to near 80 degrees as we head towards Thursday afternoon. So for tonight, the rain does come to an end, but it's going to be muggy. Temperatures will drop back to near 70 degrees. For tomorrow, scattered showers will be around. We'll still be in the 80s. It'll still be humid, but that humidity is going to drop starting on Thursday. Temperatures will be in the 70s on Thursday and Friday. Look at this stretch of beautiful weather. Low humidity, lots of sunshine, and temperatures in the 70s and 80s. So that'll give people enough time to start the cleanup process as we go throughout the next couple of days. But the severe weather threat is over for central New York.
All right, and we talked about Congressman Williams making his way to Rome. We've just learned that his office is in touch with FEMA about assessing the damage, tracking the damage. And at this point, I know you mentioned it, but the National Weather Service needing to make that determination on the strength and the speed, but they need to come to town and kind of take measurements, right?
Yes, so thanks to our viewers, we've had submitted a lot of photos and videos to them, so they've gotten the assessment of the damage. So I'm guessing tomorrow they will make the trip to Rome, and then they will classify the strength of that tornado that touched down in Rome.
So that's like, send them to you, you'll send them to them.
Yes,
All
exactly.
right. Jill, thank you. Today marks the 55th anniversary of the launch of Apollo. On a day like this, we don't like to be too far from the Weather Center. Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis is tracking this active afternoon, severe damage in the city of Rome. The pictures just keep coming in. Please, if you're going to be taking pictures, make sure you're doing so safely. Don't touch down power lines. Don't go near down power lines. This is a strong line, and it's indicating that it was an apparent tornado.
Yes, we can confirm that. We're continuing to kind of catch our breath and gather more data, and there's something very interesting that we stumbled upon, and that is the National Weather Service weather station in Rome. We think might have had a direct hit, or it was in the path of where that tornado happened. We went through the records and looked at the wind speed of that weather station, almost 80-mile-an-hour gust, and that took place at just after 3 o'clock, 3:35 to be exact. And when we were looking at the rotation with the storm and the debris signature, it's very close to where all of this wind damage was taking place. And just a reminder, we've got an ability now to be able to see debris in real time, and meteorologist Jill Reel earlier today confirming that here. This is the debris signature that we see through a new technology called correlation coefficient, and that basically indicates a tornado was on the ground. The Griffiths Air Force Base, or at least where the weather station, I should say, would be right about here. So whether or not the tornado was on the ground while it hit the weather station or not doesn't really matter. I mean, we have the evidence, again, of that really strong wind gust. And again, this record, by the way, 79, the previous record was 67 miles an hour. That was also thunderstorm related back in 2013. The most important thing here going forward, too, is that the severe weather threat is now over. The storms are moving to the east. We do have some flooding. We have a lot of things going on. So again, we're really stressing don't travel. There's a lot of debris on the road, especially in areas that got hit really hard. There's power outages. There's flooding on roadways. Again, it is a mess this evening, and we need to give the road crew some time to clean up. Again, we are in the process of settling down here. The weather should be quieting down as well. But again, we're going to continue to keep you updated on this situation as we head throughout the news task.
All right, Bill, thank you. And here are those gas pumps that were knocked over in last night's storm. But here's what we're learning from Clifford Fuel tonight. This was at Cliffs on Mohawk Street in Herkimer, by the way. Those pumps were actually detached from the island earlier in the day because they're being replaced as part of a renovation of the property. So the wind did knock them over, but they weren't actually connected to anything. We're back with more news and tracking what happened in Rome after this. That's Luke Radel reporting back to the Weather Center with Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis and meteorologist Jill Reel. It was an active day. What are you learning about what we experienced?
Well, the big thing is that it takes time for all this to clean up. We had a touchdown today in Rome. It's going to take a little while to figure out how long it was on the ground or the intensity of the tornado, but we know that it happened. We've seen plenty of damage with it. We also know that the danger is now over.
Well, you were saying that this isn't a tornado you were going to see in an obvious way.
Yeah, well, we had this severe weather moving in, but we also had very heavy rain at the same point. So for an observer to actually witness the tornado would be very hard. It's called rain wrapped, just because we had such heavy rain. It was hard to see anything visible at that point in time. So that's why the National Weather Service uses the radar to confirm that debris signature that indicates some stuff in the air.
And this is life-saving technology because, again, like Jill said, there's no way that you would have been able to see this in the rain wrap portion where it took place. And we have the ability to use a way to confirm debris. And that's really our eyes, our first indication that this is on the ground. I mean, we look at the rotation, but that never tells us exactly what's happening on the ground. But when we see signatures like this, we dread seeing that, because it tells us that we know that something happened. We know that there was a touchdown. And Jill, this signature lasted for several radar scans.
Yeah, so when I went on the air originally, it was for a tornado warning that was near the Camden area, and then we had a second tornado warning, which was this tornado warning. And this is before the National Weather Service confirmed it, and I saw this and I had a pit in my stomach, and I was like, this is a confirmed tornado. Unfortunately, there is some debris in the air, and that we were talking about the path of it. We have damage at Erie Boulevard, but we also noticed that this path was close to Griffiths, and that's why we had that wind speed of 79 miles per hour. So we're thinking this is the path that it took as it was going to the north and to the east. But of course, we're not the experts with the path and the severity of it. That's when we go to the National Weather Service in Binghamton.
Absolutely. Another thing to point out here, too, this is different from last Wednesday.
Yes.
These were different types of storms. This came from a line. And these tornadoes, in meteorology, we have a special name for them, QLCS tornadoes. Basically, they're harder to point out, they're harder to predict, and they don't last as long. And what we saw on Wednesday, we had long-track supercells, individual storms that we were seeing multiple tornado warnings. This happened fast. I mean, this went from straight line wind to rotation in just a few scans. So this is what makes the situation a little bit different.
Yeah, and I was here since 1 o'clock with Eric, and I was just tracking, like, okay, things are starting to get more interesting. Then within a half hour, we went from nothing.
It went
to
fast.
everything.
It
But
happened fast.
the one positive with Bill and Eric, they did an alert day last night for today, so people were aware of the severity of the situation. And thankfully, like for those who may have not had power, our Storm Tracker 2 weather app is first for those warnings, which is life-saving at this point.
It is very important, especially when you're taking calls in the newsroom. Did you know that there was, yeah, we've been on the air for a couple of hours, and then you realize, I'm so sorry, you haven't had television.
Yes.
Right.
This is when we want to roll out that cell phone use and stay connected to our weather center. All right. Speaking of, we'll be back in just a minute. I want to talk other news for you right now. Cornell University has been studying why the mayflies were so bad at Oneida Lake this year. And if you weren't there in June, here's what you missed. Social media was inundated with pictures and videos of the insects. This is Park Avenue, right in front of Harpoon Eddie's. Now look at this, the sculpture outside Captain John's restaurant. Ooh. We're back and continuing to track storm damage, significant storm damage in the city of Rome. News Channel 2's Ben Kinney is live for us tonight, where the federal government is already very aware of the situation. Ben, good evening.
Yeah, Kristen, good evening once again. We're on West Dominic Street right now, and it's just extreme damage down here. I've been in touch with the executive director of the Capitol Theater. He says the main theater is fine. There are some windows blown out on the front. The Cinema Capitol, not as much. He believes that might be a total loss. There's extensive damage there. Congressman Brandon Williams joins me now. He's here on the ground in Rome. Congressman, you've been here a little longer than I have. What have you seen so far?
Well, we walked just north of City Hall and in the neighborhoods around there. It's very clear that a very large storm, I would say a tornado, likely came and clipped the top of trees. It took out two very significant steeples on churches, St. Mary's and a Presbyterian, First Presbyterian. This is on Thomas Street, and just massive trees are down. All the power lines are down, and in the street, fortunately not energized. Residents are walking around dazed. Many of them are organizing to try to clear the debris. The Department of Public Works was out very quickly and clearing some of the streets so first responders could get in. And I just saw a lot of cooperation. I saw a community that really was coming together to help one another. And frankly, we're in reasonably good spirits given the tragedy.
Now, have you been in touch with the federal government at all? Anyone from FEMA about what's going on here in Rome?
Absolutely. That was our first call as we drove here and heard about the storm. My office called FEMA directly to alert them. I also emphasized to the local authorities that they also need to follow their procedures and contact FEMA themselves. We want to accelerate things. We don't want to stunt any action on the federal government's part. So, and then really, I just walked around asking people, everyone I met, how are you? Are you okay? You know, everybody in your family okay? And, you know, have not run into anybody that was anything other than glad to be alive.
All right, Congressman Brandon Williams, thank you very much. Again, down here, West Dominic Street, extensive damage. Cleanup continues in Rome. Kristen, back to you.
All right, Ben Kinney live tonight. It is 75 degrees atop Smith Hill, about a 13-degree drop since before the storm. Your full Storm Tracker 2 weather forecast is next. 2 meteorologists up next.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Now, the severe thunderstorm watch that has been issued for Oneida, Madison, Chenango, and Otsego counties has been canceled as the severe weather threat has come to an end across central New York. It may still look ominous outside, like right now on our downtown Nexus camera, but that is just some low-lying clouds associated with some moisture that is close to the surface. We're not expecting any more severe weather for this evening into tonight, but we are expecting some scattered showers to move through the area. We did reach a high of 88 degrees. Once that rain moved in, temperatures dropped pretty significantly. We're at 76 degrees at Griffiths Park, but as you step outside, you will notice it's still quite humid across central New York. All of that severe weather has now pushed to the east. It is now impacting the Capital District region, moving into Vermont as well as Massachusetts and Connecticut. But we are still seeing some scattered showers on our Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. We do have one warning to pass along to you, and that is for Lewis County. There is still a flash flood warning, including the city of Lowville, that has been impacted with heavy rain throughout the afternoon, so they have been seeing some flooding on some roadways. Again, that flash flood warning continues until 7:30 this evening. So we were tracking that line of severe storms that moved through the area this afternoon, starting at about 2 o'clock, winding down around 5:30 across the region. Those have now pushed out to the east, but we're still seeing some scattered showers across central New York as we go throughout the evening hours. And that chance of rain is going to continue as we head into tonight and into tomorrow as well. So on our Skycast, as we go throughout the overnight, temperatures are going to stay near 70 degrees, so it is going to stay quite humid as we head into the overnight and into tomorrow morning. Tomorrow we start off dry, but as we head towards the afternoon, we are tracking that cold front that's going to move through the region. So before that cold front moves in, temperatures are going to top off into the 80s. You will notice on our Skycast a chance for some thunderstorms as we go throughout the afternoon and into the evening hours, but nothing compared to what we saw today. We'll still see some scattered showers and thunderstorms during the evening hours. Then the weather is going to improve as we head towards Wednesday night. By Thursday, completely different story. Less humidity, comfortable temperatures, and more in the way of some sunshine. So as we go throughout Thursday, temperatures will be in the 70s rather than the 80s, and our dew points are going to dip back into the 50s, something we haven't seen in quite a while. So for tonight, showers will be winding down, but it's going to stay humid and muggy. Temperatures near 70 degrees. For tomorrow, warm and humid with some scattered showers, a few afternoon thunderstorms as well. And taking a look at the rest of your forecast as we head it towards Thursday and Friday and into the weekend, beautiful weather, top 10 weather days, low humidity, lots of sunshine, and temperatures near 80 degrees.
News with Kristen Copeland.
Thanks for joining us. The city of Rome and now all of Oneida County under a state of emergency tonight after severe thunderstorms and an apparent tornado cut a path of destruction through the city and surrounding areas. We're going to go straight to Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis and Meteorologist Jill Reel tracking from the Weather Center.
Yeah, it's a historic day for sure across central New York. We had a tornado touchdown in Rome that you were able to pick out pretty quickly on the radar earlier today.
Yeah, so we broke into broadcast around 3 o'clock this afternoon, and by 3:30 we had that confirmation of that tornado. So if you look at a velocity scan, what you are looking at here is the inbound and outbound wind. So you see that close-knit rotation right over the Rome area. We talked about West Thomas Street right there. You can see where that bright pinks are. And you also can see James Street and East Dominic Street where all that damage has been reported. And then the next scan, so that was at 3:31. And then the next scan showed what we call a debris signature. So at 3:32, just a minute later, we noticed that there was a debris signature on the radar, and that indicates that there's something in the air besides rain.
And the thing is, with all the people and all the eyes that were on this storm, nobody, at least so far, has videotaped this tornado because it was rain wrapped, and that made it that much more dangerous. And this technology is a lifesaver to be able to see this in real time. So again, it's a big disaster zone with a lot of things that we're still collecting. And we're just asking folks to stay off the roads. There's a lot of power outages. There's a lot of debris in the roads. There's still some flooding issues. The severe weather threat is now done. We have a lot of cleanup that we're going to be dealing with here going forward.
And then tomorrow, I'm betting that tomorrow the National Weather Service in Binghamton will travel to Rome to assess the damage and then give an official rating of this radar-confirmed tornado. So we are not qualified to do that, but just based off of radar, we know that there was a radar-confirmed tornado in Rome. We'll continue to digest this information, and we'll have your full forecast coming up.
All right, Jill, Bill, thank you. And the pictures you are sending to us are the pictures that we are sending to the National Weather Service that will play a key role in determining the strength of this storm. Some of these pictures you've sent in are unbelievable. This is the B-52 on the Griffiths Business and Technology Park. It's off its base. And we do have new drone video I want to show you. CAP Media, CAP Images. This is drone video from atop the city of Rome. I want to thank take a look at this. This is a different church. The steeple torn off. Wow, it's incredible. West Liberty Street here, the roof coming off St. Mary's. Look at that drone video, and again, this is going to be sent to the National Weather Service. We do have News Channel 2's Ben Kinney in Rome for us tonight. He is tracking the damage. We'll take a closer look at that video as well. But Ben, eyes on the ground, you said at 5 o'clock you were speechless at what you were seeing, and I noticed that a lot of people are starting to come out and see for themselves the damage on the streets of Rome.
Yeah, Kristen, they are, and to say the least, they're all stunned. It's just a look of shock, and I don't know if amazement is the right word to use. It's probably not, but just awe at the damage and destruction here. I'm joined now by Captain Ted Tressler from the Salvation Army. Salvation Army just arriving a few minutes ago. Captain, you've already food laid out, water. What other services are you going to be providing to folks tonight?
Well, immediately we're in contact with emergency management and the fire department to coordinate our services. We've offered our building for sheltering for those who are without at the moment, and we'll expand our services for food services, disaster social services as we're able to and as the need arises.
Do you have any indication of how many people are without a place to stay tonight because of this storm?
I really have no idea. Looking around the neighborhood, I would guess it's more than a few. There's a lot of destruction, large apartment buildings that have been significantly damaged. So my guess is there are a lot of people who are going to be in need. And even if the rest of the building is usable, they'll need to check the buildings for structural integrity before they'll let anyone in.
Where can folks in Rome, if they are able to view us tonight, where can they find you folks and where can they reach out for help?
Right now, we don't have bedding. We're working. I just spoke with someone at emergency management. We've offered up our gym for use, but we would need to partner with somebody else for cots, bedding, mattresses, whatever we can get so that people have a place to sleep. But we'll be here as long as people need us.
All right, thank you very much, Captain Ted Tressler from the Salvation Army. Again, state of emergency in effect for Rome. Kristen, I can tell you just from looking at this, it's unfathomable. I have no other words for the scene here on West Dominic Street. Reporting in Rome, Ben Kinney, News Channel 2. Kristen.
Ben, thank you. And if you are able to safely take pictures, you can upload them to WKTV.com. Staying in.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
While the severe weather threat has come to an end, we're still tracking some showers across central New York. Now, the severe thunderstorm watch that was issued for central New York has now been lifted. So we are not going to be dealing with severe weather as we go throughout the evening hours. Now, the sky may look ominous out there, but we are just tracking some rain showers across central New York as we take a live look at our Nexus camera in downtown Utica. The temperature has dropped 15 degrees from 88 degrees as our high temperature. Now we're down to 73. Probably doesn't feel too cool outside because it's quite humid across central New York, and that humidity is going to stick around for one more day. So I am tracking some rain on our Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar, but the severe weather is now making its way out of New York State, now impacting Vermont as well as Massachusetts and Connecticut. But we are still going to see that chance for some showers as we go throughout the evening hours. So if you are beginning to go outside, assess the damage, begin the cleanup, just be aware you are going to be dealing with some rain over the next couple of hours and then more rain in the forecast as we head into tomorrow. The one positive, that flash flood warning that was in effect for Louisville has now come to an end. But still, you want to be careful on any roadways. There could be some ponding on roadways as well as some debris, especially in areas that saw some heavy rain over the last couple of hours. So this rain is going to continue to develop across the region and slowly push to the east, but we are going to continue to track more in the way of some rain as we head into tomorrow, as our secondary cold front moves through. And as it does, it's finally going to put an end to the heat and humidity across the region. But we still have to deal with that humidity as we head into tonight and into Wednesday. So on our Skycast, throughout the overnight, temperatures are only going to drop back to near 70 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Waking up tomorrow morning, it's going to be humid. Temperatures will start off in the 70s, and before that rain arrives, we're going to make it into the mid-80s once again. Now, by tomorrow afternoon, there is a chance for some thunderstorms, especially south and east of Utica. You can see some thunderstorm activity down towards Oneonta, but it is not going to be on the severe side. Nothing like we saw yesterday or today or last week, but we do run that risk for a few thunderstorms as we head towards Wednesday afternoon. Once that cold front moves out of the area, high pressure is going to build in, and you're going to notice a big difference on Thursday. We're talking lots of sunshine, low humidity, and check out these high temperatures. Only in the 70s as we head towards Thursday afternoon and into Thursday evening. So some refreshing air is moving in just in time for the weekend. So for tonight, it's going to be humid with scattered showers around this evening, coming to an end for tonight. For tomorrow, warm and humid. Temperatures in the 80s with some scattered showers and a few afternoon thunderstorms. And taking a look at the rest of your forecast, as we head towards Thursday, a mix of sun and clouds, significantly less humid with temperatures in the 70s. And we're seeing a nice stretch of weather for Friday into the weekend with low humidity, plenty of sunshine, and temperatures in the 80s.
Welcome back. This is Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis with Jill Reel here, who's been providing coverage throughout most of the day with this tornado warning. I was actually supposed to be off today.
Second time in a week.
Yeah, I'll share a brief story with that in just a second, but I want to talk about some of the new information that we've been collecting here. We'll start with the wind damage. We think that the tornado might have come really close to the National Weather Service wind measuring station at Griffiths in Rome. It measured a wind gust of 79 miles an hour at 3:35, which is incredible. That beats the previous record of 67 on July 20th of 2013. Also, too, if you want to go to the next slide, Jill, you've been helping us out here looking at some of the damage reports and just kind of give folks an idea of where we think the general path of this tornado was.
Yeah, and the National Weather Service from Binghamton will actually come up in Rome and then give us the exact path. But just based off of our reports from Ben Kinney, as well as viewer photos, we noticed that there's damage on West Liberty Street, St. Thomas Street, James Street, Erie Boulevard, and West Dominic Street. So we do believe that that is where the tornado may have touched down in that area of Rome and then continued, as Bill said, near Griffiths Park, where our ASOS, or Automated Weather Station, is located. And that's why it picked up that wind speed of 79 miles per hour.
Yeah, and to give you some perspective here, that triangle, the top right-hand side of your screen, is about where the weather station is located. In addition to, one of the reasons why we confirmed this as a tornado touchdown, even though we had so many eyes that would have been able to see this, but we didn't have any video, at least as of yet, this tornado was rain-wrapped, which means It was raining really hard in the middle of circulation, and it's almost impossible to be able to see something like that until it's upon you. So this is not a situation where you want to storm chase these things. And this is a look at the radar here with the rotation, but it's the debris signature that made it life-saving today in order to confirm this in real time that Jill was able to confirm. We know this is on the ground. We know this is happening. You need to get into shelter. And again, these are just some images from earlier today.
Yeah, so we went on the air, I think, around 3:15 with the tornado warning that was not part of this tornado warning, a separate one in western Oneida County. But once I saw this debris signature, I knew that we had a confirmed tornado. And you could see the streets, again, St. Thomas Street, we're just talking about, James Street. So we think that the tornado picked up the debris from those locations, and then we saw that debris signature on the radar. So this is why it is a radar confirmed tornado. But the National Weather Service in Binghamton will travel to the Rome area tomorrow to officially assess the damage and then give it a rating as well.
And then one last thought I mentioned had to deal with something family related. I was in Canastota earlier today, and just to share some stories here, it was incredibly difficult to get back to the station. Power outages, damage all over the place, water on the roads. This is why we're telling people don't travel. Let's give the crews a chance to clean up, because there's damage all over the place. I know we've been focused on Rome, but there's a lot of other places that got wind damage too. And again, just stay home if you can. Let the crews clean up. It may take several days for us to get things back in order here in central New York.
Yeah, so we're going to take a quick break, and we'll recap all of this information just after that.
News with Dave Delachase.
Earlier, it was survival mode. Now, the city of Rome is in recovery mode after strong thunderstorms and an apparent tornado brought down buildings, ripped off a church steeple, and even knocked the iconic B-52 off its base at the former Griffiss Air Force Base in Rome. The saddest news of all, one person in Canastota has died during the storms. All we know is that the person was outside their home. It is not known if they were hit by debris or stricken by a medical emergency. Oneida County and now all of New York State is in a state of emergency tonight. We're going to hear from officials in just a minute. First, checking out the damage. We want to get straight to some video from Rome. Many areas in the county suffered damage, but Rome, by all accounts, was most severe. These are images we are used to seeing in places far from here, but tonight this is central New York. Buildings torn apart, roofs blown off, a church steeple knocked over, and again, the iconic B-52 at the former Griffiss Air Force Base knocked off its base. You can go to WKTV.com for more images that were gathered by both our crews and viewers sent in. Local elected leaders in Oneida County held a press conference earlier tonight to bring the public up to speed on the scope of the damage and what they're doing to help recover. Some Rome court functions and DMV operations are shifting to Utica tomorrow. Officials also talked about the massive recovery effort and all the agencies that are taking part.
We are working, obviously you see the people that surround me, obviously Rome Police, Rome Fire, other departments are assessing along with our DPW crews from the city of Rome, the county, state emergency management is here. We have established a command center here up at Griffiss.
The National Weather Service will be in Rome late tomorrow morning or early afternoon to survey the damage and confirm whether or not that was, in fact, a tornado. Rome courts and DMV operations, as we said, are moved to Utica tomorrow. Also, local officials will hold another press conference in the morning. News Channel 2's Ben Kinney was in Rome late this afternoon and tonight checking out the damage firsthand. Here's what he saw.
In a matter of seconds, the Rome skyline was changed forever. An apparent tornado ripping through downtown just before 3:30 Tuesday afternoon. The city's iconic Paul Revere mural collapsing from the strength and the weight of the wind. The B-52 bomber at Griffiss shifted off its mounts. Congressman Brandon Williams described what he saw when he first arrived to the scene.
Residents are walking around dazed. Many of them are organizing to try to clear the debris. The Department of Public Works was out very quickly and clearing some of the streets so first responders could get in. And I just saw a lot of cooperation. I saw a community that really was coming together to help one another.
Does anyone need anything to eat or drink?
The Salvation Army arrived on West Dominic Street as business owners and residents began to pick up the pieces.
Looking around the neighborhood, I would guess it's more than a few. There's a lot of destruction, large apartment buildings that have been significantly damaged. So my guess is there are a lot of people who are going to be in need. And even if the rest of the building is usable, they'll need to check the buildings for structural integrity before they'll let anyone in.
The sheer power of the storm could be seen at two churches, St. Mary's and the First Presbyterian. Iconic to Rome's landscape, now destroyed.
It's those types of things are irreplaceable. Things can be rebuilt, but things along those natures are irreplaceable. So yeah, it's definitely, it tugs on your heartstrings as far as being a Roman and seeing those types of things that, the skyline of Rome, New York has now changed. So, but we'll come back, I promise.
Georgian Arms apartments also hit by the storms. Residents there loaded onto buses. They will be relocated to apartments in Utica. The National Weather Service says they will be in Rome tomorrow to survey the damage as a community shaken to its core by Mother Nature's fury begins the road to recovery. Reporting in Rome, Ben Kinney, News Channel 2.
As you might imagine, thousands in Oneida County are still without power. These are National Grid customers, and this is from the National Grid website. As of moments ago, there were still about 22,000 National Grid customers in Oneida County without power and just under 2,000 in Herkimer County. There is currently no estimated restoration time. For status, it says assessing condition. There is a curfew in the city of Rome. No one is to be on the streets until 5:30 tomorrow morning. But if you can't go home, Oneida County has set up an emergency shelter at 394 Hanger Road on the former base in Rome. It's pet friendly. Also, officials are stressing you can call 211 for non-emergency storm-related help and questions. Time now for a first look at the forecast and what we have in store after today's wild weather. Here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Yeah, Dave, today, what a day. I wanted to start out by taking a look at this image here. This confirming debris. This is a debris signature. This is what we saw earlier today to confirm the touchdown. The only way we see something like this is if the storm is picking things up, and they have to be very large things. This also rules out a microburst because the winds in a microburst are going down and they're not pushing things into the air. The only way this can happen is a tornado, so we are expecting the Weather Service to confirm that later tomorrow with the path, the wind speed. That's what we can't do on radar just yet. In fact, the tornado came pretty close to Griffiths and Rome. Actually, we think it got very close to the weather sensor. 79-mile wind gust was measured at 335. This marks the strongest wind speed measured since they moved the weather station there in 2008. Things are much quieter now, and that's where we will stand as we head into tonight. Overnight lows dropped to near 70. We do have a few showers and thunderstorms tomorrow that are not expected to be as strong as today's. That will bring us some relief from the heat and humidity. Look at the forecast coming out. Dave, back to you.
Thanks a lot, Bill. Turning to economic news now, and some good news. Congressman Brandon Williams visited Wolfspeed in Marcy today, there to call attention to the cutting-edge work.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
We're taking a breather here. We are in a quieter state now than we were a few hours ago, and the weather is going to settle down as we go forward. We're going to talk about a drop in the humidity and some relief. If you're not a fan of the heat and humidity, there is some relief on the horizon. Current temperature downtown Utica, 69 degrees. It's still very warm and humid. We did get thunderstorms that knocked the temperature down, but the humidity is still around. We do have a cold front that's going to be moving in from the west. The setup is not expected to bring the kind of weather that we dealt with today, but we could see some pop-up showers and thunderstorms. A live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. Again, things look pretty quiet. Have a look at the damage reports. This was widespread wind damage, which is what we were thinking was going to happen. What was not anticipated was, of course, that tornado, which they never really are. There's no way to really tell where and when a tornado is going to touch down, even with our given technology. But we were able to see it in real time. And again, this just kind of shows you the extent of the damage. And we also just wanted to give a shout out. I know a lot of our focus has been on Rome, but there's been a lot of damage in our area as well, especially across the Mohawk Valley. Take a look at this. This was during the tornado touchdown on South James Street in Rome. And this is one of the problems with this particular tornado is look at all the rain that's happening while this is on the ground. You can't see the tornado. This tornado is wrapped up in rain. There's another image here that shows a different angle. This is at MVCC in Rome. I mean, this is just incredible stuff. This looks like a hurricane. Again, as we noted, the wind speed was close to hurricane status at Griffiths and Rome, which is pretty close to this location. But again, this is why the debris signature and those radar images can come in very helpful, because sometimes you're just not able to see these things until it's too late. Now, as we go forward, again, the danger is down. The storms are well to our east, and things quiet down tonight. Overnight lows will drop down into the low 70s to upper 60s. Tomorrow, the cold front arrives. It produces showers and thunderstorms. I'm not seeing the same setup as today. It's not even close, but we could have a few showers and a few thunderstorms in the afternoon. Temperatures will climb into the mid-80s. We do have to watch for some rain. We've been getting a lot of rain lately with these storms, and there could be some localized flooding, so I do want to mention that. But once this rolls through, it's a different story. We have a big drop in the humidity. We're expecting some sunshine, and a much quieter weather pattern is going to be taking place as we head into the end of the week. Tonight, partly cloudy, a low of 70. Tomorrow, scattered thunderstorms, especially in the late morning to early afternoon, 83 for the high. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. We are looking at a stretch of much-needed, quiet, dry weather with low humidity. We have not had a lot of that this summer, so we'll enjoy it. Temperatures in the 70s, overnight lows in the 50s. Doesn't that sound nice, Dave?
I would say we'll take it. As somebody who's had the air conditioning on for quite a while now, we will definitely take it. And that humidity really needs something to break it.
It grates on you, doesn't it?
It really does. You walk out, it's like you're walking in soup. Yeah. And nobody wants that. All right, thanks a lot, Bill. Over at Oneida Lake, the Verona Beach State Park swim area is still closed